Meanwhile, delays in provision of PPEs is the story told earlier when the final year students were allowed back in school. While President of NAGRAT, Angel Carbonu, is concerned that not all schools may have received government-sponsored PPEs yet. He wants government to speedily provide these PPEs as the academic work begins. He spoke on the AM show.
Well, we are very concerned with the SHS students and even the BEC students because our teachers are in all these areas. Yes, the only concern we have is the COVID-19 protocols, whether the PPEs are in the schools and whether they are adequate, whether everybody psychologically is furnished, him or herself, to respond positively to these protocols, because we don't have. I understand what is happening in Europe is that there is a second spike and a second wave of the disease. Almighty Donald Trump is down, and so on and so forth. So we don't want that situation to happen here. Schools are opening, parents are apprehensive, teachers are apprehensive, students are psychologically traumatized. Let it begin and let's see how it goes.
I thought that by now you'll be in the position to tell us if there's enough PPEs in the schools, for instance.
Oh, that I will. I'm talking to you from Cape Coast. I've been in Cape Coast from Friday, and I've not monitored all schools. You know, there are some schools that have very strong old students. You know, like my school, Pope John Secondary School. Mamavi, not like your school.
You are.
And you
are reminding us that you were kicked out of the NSMQ competition.
Oh, we gave it to them on silver platter. You know, so we have schools that have very strong old boys and old girls who themselves have taken initiative to provide some of these PPEs. Unfortunately, there are some other schools that do not have this, and they will depend on government and the state for this provision. There are also some parents. They have adequately stocked the boxes of their children with some of these protective gears. Again, let me admit that there will also be some other children who will need the state to support them. So when I get back from Cape Coast today or tomorrow, we will just begin to do the monitoring and look at the situation. And I can assure you, when you interview me on Thursday, I should be able to give you up-to-date information on the situation on the campuses.
Okay.
Let's get on the phone now. We speak to CHAS's President, Alhaji Yakub Abubakar. Hello, sir. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Hello, Alhaji. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you all right.
Great. Thank you for your time. I want to take your first of all, take your assessment. It's been, you know, the day probably has come to an end for those who went to school today. What is your initial assessment?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. By the grace of God, indeed, today is the reopening date. And so far, we have received quite some number of students who have reported. And we expect that others will still come up to around 6 this evening. Then those who have not been able to make it, they will make it from tomorrow onwards. So far, the students are in school, and the school activities will definitely kickstart with their presence in the school.
I get this impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that there has been low turnout. You didn't get the number of students coming back. You didn't get as many as you probably had expected.
Yeah, the attendance has not been as great as we expected it to be.
Okay.
But the number is quite appreciable to that have reported. And it is still a bit early in the day because it's just about 3:30 now. So normally it is from this time up to 6 that quite a good number of them show up in the school. So we're still expecting quite a good number of them to come.
Oh, okay, but by 3:30 you mean the borders?
Yeah, we are referring to the borders. As for the day students, definitely they will start coming from tomorrow.
Okay, right. So why do you think this is the low turnout? Do you think that students are still, or parents are perhaps still apprehensive about taking their children to school, given that there hasn't
been... Not necessarily that. You know, the first day of reopening, usually it is the borders who show up, indeed. The day students will always wait and come the following day because they know the first day there wouldn't be serious academic activities going on. It is just cleaning and trying to tidy up the place to make it easy for academic activities to take place. So usually the first day you don't get the day students showing up. It is the boarders who come.
Okay. So, well, let's see. As you say, it's 3:30. Let's see what happens between now and tomorrow. But in terms of preparation of the campuses, again, your assessment.
So far, our schools have been fumigated and disinfected. And for that matter, the environment is okay for students to come and then teaching and learning to go on. Then in terms of the PPEs for the COVID-19, we have received some quantity, but not enough.
Okay.
And that one, the leadership of Charles had a meeting with the management of Ghana Education Service on the 28th of this month, September. That is Monday, and we drew their attention strongly to that. And we were assured that the equipment would be in our school, hopefully before the reopening day, which is today. But as I speak to you now, some schools have had, others haven't gotten anything yet. And those who have even had, the quantities are still a bit on the lower side. In other words, it cannot spread out to all the students.
Okay. Can we look at figures, if you like, or numbers, if you like, even if it's percentage? If you take the number of PPEs that have been received so far across the schools that you are in charge of, what percentage would you put that?
With regards to the school, so far our discussion has been that can we hear from the regional chairs those who have received, the number of schools in their regions who have received. And some of them will tell us about 50% of the schools have received, others have not received. Others will just say no school in their region has received anything yet. That is how the picture is. Now, coming home, like where I am in Kumasi, Tiamadia Senior High School, we were given 100 pieces of the nose mask. And meanwhile, my school, the second-year students alone are over 2,000. So in other words, we have received only about half of the quantity if we are even to give one each to a student.
That's not even half of the, if you have 2,000 at least and 100 nose masks, that's like, I'm not so mathematically inclined, but that's like 10%.
We have received 1,000 pieces of the nose mask.
1,000, right.
Very good. Right. And our student population in Form 2 alone is over 2,000. So on the average, we can say we have received about 50% of the requirement of mask for students only, not to talk of the staff.
Yeah.
We have equally drawn the attention of management that the Veronica buckets that were brought to us in our schools and the stand, we were questioning the quality of those materials because a lot of them got cracked and spoiled in no time. And so we drew management's attention that it shouldn't be assumed that because these things were brought earlier, we will still have them in our schools. Quite a good number of them were spoiled, and there was the need for fresh quantities to be brought to the school. That one too, we made it known to our management. But they have brought the sanitizers. Of course, that one too of a limited quantity. They have brought the liquid soap, also of a limited quantity. So we are still expecting that these things would be brought to us at the school level for us to be able to adhere to the protocols of the COVID-19.
Is there a plan, for example, to allow parents or individuals or groups, or student associations to, for example, support if you're expecting these items and they've not come?
For now, even in the earlier opening that we did, parents on their own volition provided their wards with some of these materials, especially the nose mask, and quite a good number of them came with it. And we encourage parents that given the situation that we have now, even when they are leaving from their homes to come to the school, it's expected that parents will provide them with this to protect themselves as they go to the school. So yes, parents are allowed to give some support to their wards as far as these PPEs are concerned, especially the nose mask and possibly the sanitizers.
Yeah. You did indicate that you've told management about this shortfall in the items that you have received. What response did you get?
We are given the assurance that every arrangement was in place to get them sent to the school, so we should rest assured.
Okay, so what happened in the chain of the arrangements? Did they tell you?
So as I speak to you now, it was after that meeting that 3-4 days thereafter just 2 days ago, we had our discussion on our plan, trying to contact all the regional chairs to see what was the situation at their school levels. Yeah. And the response we received was what I said, that in some cases, some of the regional chairs, they have received some quantities, others have not received at all.
Okay. Okay. Does this disappoint you in any way, where your expectation is that all of these will be intact before the students are even allowed to come to school?
Verily, we would have wished that these things were brought to the school earlier, so that we could put things in place and have a better management of the school before the students report to school. But be as it may, we are not in normal time now, so we are all expected that the situation that we find ourselves, we manage and then move on with it.
These are initial stages yet. I mean, like you said, this is the first time they're coming back to school, so this is the first day. So certainly we should be able to come back to you perhaps during the week to find out how it has gone, raise all the challenging issues, so we can find some answers to those problems. Thank you very much. I've been talking to Alhaji Yakub Abubakar. He's the president of CHAS. Now, CHAS is the Conference of Heads of Assisted Schools. There, he says, about 50% of the PPE suspected have been received. He can speak specifically for his school, Tia Ahmadiyya, where he says he received 1,000 for. If you look at his population, he's looking at least over 2,000 students for just the second year student alone. So that's like 50% of what has been received. And also in terms of the Veronica buckets, there have been some breakages here and there that needs replacement. But the good thing is some parents and other people are already helping, the children to have those PPEs. But of course, we know the government ought to provide some of these as they had promised.